A black monolith of iron and obsidian tears a circle in the clouds above the overworld. A city floats where sky should be, humming with alien redstone and ender light. Chunks of sky fall like eclipsed moons, and the world holds its breath. Something from beyond the code has come to claim a new realm. Below the floating shadow, the world rearranges. Rivers hesitate, forests bow, and mountains cast their rigid silhouettes like votes against a judgment. Villages hush and torches gutter as if even the smallest block defers to the iron silence. From the sea to the frozen peaks, the sky is carved open, and upon that wound a citadel hangs like a tongue of night. It is not built of wood or stone that the players of this world know, but of cold, welded metal and hewn obsidian, stitched with veins of redstone that pulse like hearts in a dead god. Light bleeds from seams of ender pearl and chorus, and every gate and corridor hums with a language older than command blocks, speaking in clicks and warm electrical sighs. The sound is not made for human ears, yet every living creature feels its rhythm like a drum at the center of the chest. They name it among themselves in the way frightened things name a storm. The dark citadel, the sky bastion, the iron throne. Old lore mutters a likeness, for in the hush of the new grief there is a silhouette that refuses to be unknown. A helmet black as void, a mask of breath, and under that mask a machine heart that beats with ancient war. They say his name in camps lit by maple logs and flint. Vader. He is a legend lifted from another telling, a phantom braided into the game, a lord of gravity and iron, who once fell from a galaxy of glass and copper to find a new forge. Whether he walked through a wormhole, built a portal, or was woven into the code by some curious maker, none can say. He is here, and the world is learning his gravity scouting parties first glimpse the citadel as a black crater cut into the day. They ride horses across plains that glow with flowers. They climb ladders into trees woven with vines. And from hilltops, they lift their heads to watch the shape that should not hang. Zephyrs become carriers of rumor, whispering of iron gates, of shadow that eats the sun, and of a voice that speaks not to ears but to bones. The adventurers come first, blocky knights in chainmail, archers with strung bows, and weary redstone engineers whose hats are thick with recipes, and whose hands still remember the old logic of pistons and repeaters. They camp on the meadows beneath the shadow, their torches like flares against the underbelly of cold iron. Nights are long, the citadel does not sleep. Lights trace its battlements, and sometimes a single silhouette moves across a balcony, causing the stars to scatter like frightened fish dot from the deck of a makeshift watchtower. A young player named Eli trains his spyglass upon that moving shadow. He is small but stubborn, his cloak patched with spider silk, and his heart is heavy with stories read in the flicker of campground fire. He remembers the old builders' songs of sky bridges and towers that once stitched the world together, and the way the sea ate at the legs of such wonders. He sees not a conqueror at first, but a desolation he has been taught to fear, yet curiosity coils around his caution, and he steels himself to climb. They speak below in the smoky hush, old players with iron helm, and new ones whose skins are bright as tropics. Some say retreat, others whisper war. Eli listens and wraps his hands around the rope of a grappling hook like a lifeline. With a breath that tastes of coal, he fires his shot. The iron thud of the hook embeds in the citadel's flank, and he hauls himself up along the chain, each link ringing like a bell until he reaches a ledge where obsidian meets sky. There is no welcome. A gust that smells of ozone and burnt circuitry greets him, and the air is thick with motes of ender light that cling to his lashes and make his eyes glow blue. Footsteps behind him are soft, like the padding of a cat, but when he turns, he meets not feline grace but a towered silhouette, the figure of a man whose bulk is both armor and shadow. The helmet tilts, and a voice not merely heard but felt, issues from the slit like steam from a fallen engine. It speaks in a tongue of clipped metal, and when the syllables land in Eli's chest, something in him answers like a key. "Child," the voice says, and the word is both soft and terrible, "you are brave." He is not brave, Eli wants to tell, but his mouth is dry as basalt, and the helm tilts closer so that the world narrows to the black visor and the burn of redstone beneath. "Who are you?" Eli whispers, and the answer falls like a dropped anvil. "Vader." The name is a thunder softened by distance, and in it there is the smell of star metal and old wars. Eli stumbles, his knees finding no argument against awe. He remembers stories, broken tales sung by miners around lantern glow of men who had seen ships like a harvest of planets and engines that breathed black flame. Those were not his histories, yet the syllable fits his fear like a glove. Vader studies him with the patient weight of iron set to cool. Around them the citadel shifts, plates sliding like the skin of a living machine. Distantly a conveyor groans, and somewhere the thump of a hammer sets the beat of entire halls. "Your world is full of players," Vader says, and his voice holds a history of emptiness. "You build and you break. You place torches to hold back the night, and you craft tales of heroism to make yourselves brave. Some of you wield swords and wear crowns, but crowns do not bend the sky." Eli finds his voice in a small breath. "Why are you here?" The answer is not a reason so much as a decree. A throne needs a sky. Silence lands heavy as coal. He imagines a mandate older than any map, a hunger carved into steel, and he feels the universe tilt toward a will below. Commanders gather in hastily built halls, and by firelight alliances are spoken like spells. Not all wish to fight the thing above, some seek bargains. Traders in enchanted books and potions offer deals, and a priestess whose eyes shine with ender knowledge walks the line between fear and curiosity. If he commands the sky, she whispers, then there are doors he cannot open. Her words are a small rebellion, and many in the room prefer the heat of plan to the cold of thought. Word spreads like a wildfire through caves, and even the monsters in the deep seem to shift in their sleep. Creepers hunch in moss, and the Endermen look up from their lonely pillars as if measuring whether to flee or to join a new congregation. Even the end seems to bend an ear, its chorus vibrates along a frequency that touches the citadel's undercarriage. A communion of void and iron. On the citadel itself, life moves in gears. Servitors, half-constructs of armor and wire, tabulate and tend, their faces hidden behind visors that glow with soft runes. Lamps splay light across corridors lined with relics not of this land, a carved insignia like a coiled star, shards of glass that twist the world into new colors, and a banner sewn from black cloth threaded with redstone that hums when the wind walks through it. There are rooms that smell of nothing and of machine, where silent assemblies spin and diagrams crawl like vine. Eli follows a corridor, fingers brushing cold icons. He sees maps etched on metal, runes that mark nodes of power, and a hall where projectors throw holoblocks into the air to illustrate fleets in 3 dimensions. Here strategy is a religion, and the faithful are those who read the tide of ores and the angle of gravitational nodes. In a chamber lined with obsidian and brass sits what looks like a throne. No jewel sparkles there, but a respirator hums, valves blinking in counterpoint, and when Vader sits the room seems to shrink to the circumference of his breath. He is not merely lord here, but a governor of weather, a magus of altitude. Through the windows of his chamber he watches the overworld like a chessboard, pawns and sheep alike, and he learns the habits of its players. He plans in long angles his fingers, if they can be so called. Under the armor tap equations into consoles. Around him redstone threads in a lattice, and through the lattice flows the desire of an exile, power to remake a sky. He has made mistakes here, and the wreckage of labors gone wrong litter the lower levels. A garden of dead pistons and scorched rails grows like wreckage, and in a vault Eli finds a skeleton of a machine whose purpose is unknown. He touches a charred plate and wonders whether hunger for sky is always paid in Iron Knight's Pass, and the world below organizes its response. Some craft affairs of subterfuge, building tunnels and counterweights, seeking to undermine the citadel's moorings. Others stand on planes and sharpen blades, as if the fight were a song that would require only voices and swing. Eli returns from the citadel with a mind full of diagrams and a small metal totem that hums like a caged bee. He cannot say what it will do, only that it is important, and that Vader watched him touch it with a gaze like a blade. Rumor grows teeth. Camps that were once friendly now trade in armor and siege techniques. A blacksmith who had been content to forge hose now heats blocks until they glow like dusk, and shields bear the scorch marks of desperation. Children hide in cellars and count stars worried, for the sky they loved is split. Diplomats appear, draped in linen and whispering rewards and reprisals like coins. A caravan of book traders brings volumes of lore tied with string, and in one of those books, a sentence is underlined. The thing that hungers for sky will one day find a way to ask. That line spreads like mold, and it is read in many tongues. Some believe that Vader can be bargained with, paid with ore or with an oath. Others think only of resistance, of undermining anchors and of fire. Nights lengthen, and on a ridge of basalt a band of miners gathers, their picks scraping the air until sparks leap. They are the sort of people who understand torque and tension, and they talk in measurements. Their leader is a woman named Mara, whose hands are blunted not by laziness, but by the solid work of survival. She looks at the citadel and shakes her head. "He will not be bargained with," she says, the syllables like flint struck for light. There is a difference between a lord who needs a sky and a god who seeks a heart. He wants dominion, and dominion cannot be traded. Mara lifts her pick and points to the chains that hang like the roots of the citadel. "We cut those chains," she says, "and the sky will fall back onto us." Her plan is not delicate, it is a thing forged in the language of brute force. They will build giant winches and hooks, and they will attempt to pull the citadel down. Some call them foolhardy, and some of those words